Welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars, the home base for the stories everyone whispers about but few dare to tell out loud. We bring you the moments that redefine careers, the revelations that shift public sentiment, and the rare flashes when real emotion breaks through the glare of celebrity. Before we dive into today's thunderclap, make sure you're subscribed, tap the bell so you never miss these deep dives, and if you want to help us keep delivering the stories you can't get anywhere else, hit join below and support the channel. Every week in the world of entertainment there are murmurs, little headlines that flicker and fade. But then there are weeks when one single moment rises above the noise and flips the entire narrative. This week, that moment arrived as a single image. A photograph of Gökberk Yildirim and Cemre Arda not standing politely side by side, not smiling for a camera with the practiced restraint of two professionals, but kissing. A kiss that seemed to breathe life back into a love story Turkey had convinced itself was lost to time. It wasn't a setup, not a scene from a series, not a campaign stunt glossed with studio lighting. According to insiders, it happened at a private gathering far from the usual flashbulbs, in a room that wasn't plotted on any red carpet map. In a soft-lit corner away from the crowd, two people who built careful walls over the years let them fall. The photo captured more than lips meeting. It caught a surrender, the stillness you see when two souls stop arguing with what they feel and finally lean into it. After seasons of silence, separate paths, and rumors that never quite faded, the image read like a confession neither of them spoke but both of them had been carrying. What makes that moment so extraordinary is everything behind it. Those who witnessed the lead-up tell a quiet prologue. A low conversation that grew dense and tender, body language that shifted forward as if gravity itself had changed, a walkway cleared of noise until it felt like the room had dissolved and there were only two people who mattered. It wasn't the electricity of a new beginning but the relief of a homecoming. That kiss felt freighted with the words never said, the apologies never asked for out loud, the stubborn devotion that didn't die even when pride declared it had to. You could read regret in it, but not the bitter kind, more like the ache of finally choosing what was always there. For the fans who have followed them since Ask Ruzgar Lari, the series that first braided their names together in the public imagination, this was the definitive proof they had waited for. Gökberk's recent interviews, where his voice caught slightly as he admitted there are people you don't ever truly get over, sounded suddenly less like reflective philosophy and more like a breadcrumb leading to this night. And Cemre's candid remark, said without fanfare, that she wouldn't promise her future to anyone if the timing of life ever gave her a real shot at the person her heart recognized, well, today it lands like prophecy. The photograph didn't just validate a rumor. It validated hope, the fragile hope that refuses to die even when calendars turn and headlines move on. The instant the image leaked, the internet ignited. It wasn't just a trend, it was a wave. Fans dissected everything, the angle of their heads, the tilt of light across Cemre's cheekbone, the way Gökberk's hand rested at the small of her back as if to shield, not to claim. They zoomed in on the soft lines of their closed eyes, debated whether that was his jacket around her shoulders, and slowed video from seconds before to guess the exact words that sparked the moment. From Madrid to Sao Paulo, timelines flooded. Hashless, captionless, the picture told its own story, and the story said what many had suspected all along: their love never really ended. It merely went quiet, waiting for courage and timing to finally share the same room. Inside that venue, eyewitnesses speak of a current you could feel in your bones. They noticed the long glances that weren't searching for cameras but finding each other, the careful space neither invaded until both chose to cross it, and a sense of inevitability hanging in the air. People who know Gökberk describe a protective stillness in him that emerged the moment they drew close, a steadiness he shows only when he is completely certain. Those who know Cemre speak of a calm surety, a confidence that isn't loud but undeniable. Together, the energy suggested that this was less a spark and more a release, a moment they had both been moving toward for longer than anyone realized. The kiss changed everything. Speculation melts under the weight of something so unambiguous. Where there had been fog, there was clarity. Where there had been careful, separate narratives, there was now a single, roaring flame. Commentators are already calling it the media moment of the year, a rare instance where the public didn't feel manipulated but invited to witness truth. And if there is one thing that can cut cleanly through skepticism, it's a truth that doesn't need a caption. Neither Gökberk nor Cemre has issued an official comment, and maybe they don't need to. Still, People close to both insist this wasn't an accident or a lapse in judgment. If anything, it was the culmination of months of quiet, private conversations, the kind that happen in late-night kitchens and on long walks when phones are face down and time slows. We're told they kept their circle small, not because they wanted to tease the public, but because something delicate was growing and they weren't ready to expose it to the noise. There was listening. There was accountability. There was healing. And when they were sure, they allowed the moment to arrive. Now, the world is leaning forward, hungry for the next chapter. Will this be the formal revival of a relationship many thought had slipped into legend? Will there be an engagement in a season or two, a ring that says what the kiss already shouted? Or will they take a quieter path, more walks and fewer announcements, letting time prove what one picture has already suggested? One possibility has fans nearly breathless: a joint project. The thought of them acting together again, perhaps not to replay the fire of Ask Ruzgar Lari but to transform it into something more seasoned, has casting directors and producers paying close attention. Chemistry like this isn't built on set, it's something life gives, and when it appears, the screen can barely contain it. If this moment proves anything, it's that Gökberk and Cemre are no longer two meteors flying in separate skies, each with a fractured past and a guarded present. They are two mature artists who understand themselves better and have chosen, deliberately, to reconnect with what is true and necessary. Fame brings pressure, distance makes the mind invent reasons, time tests conviction. Yet here they are, choosing the simplest, bravest thing: each other. That kiss wasn't just a dramatic act, it was a public acknowledgement of a private vow, the kind that doesn't need to be said to feel real. It marked the start of a new chapter, not built on nostalgia or public yearning, but on two people deciding that love is worth the risk of being seen again. There is a tenderness to the way the story is unfolding, a grace that feels intentional. Watch how they move now, steadier, almost slow. Notice the absence of performative gestures, the refusal to hustle their hearts into a press release. When you've learned the hard way how rare it is to be truly understood, you treasure it. You protect it. You reveal it only on your terms. And perhaps that is why, despite the chaos that exploded online, the core of this moment still feels intimate. It belongs to them first. The rest of us are merely witnesses. For longtime followers, this has been a pilgrimage of patience. They've kept playlists from the show soundtrack saved on their phones, memorized interviews where glances spoke louder than words, and defended the idea that timing, not feeling, was the real villain of the story. There were years when the current ran cold. New projects arrived, and with them came new rumors, co-stars whispered into the void, sightings that made quick headlines and then burned out. Through it all, something about Gökberk and Cemre continued to pull attention back, like a compass correcting itself. Fans recognized it because they felt it too, the sense that some bonds don't loosen just because your calendar fills up. Let's not pretend it was simple. There were missteps to own and distances to respect. Two stubborn, talented people had to figure out if they wanted to protect their independence at the cost of their connection or risk the vulnerability required to share a life the world insists on peering into. The art sharpened them, the silence humbled them. And when the noise faded, the truth remained. You can almost read that entire journey in the single photograph that shook the internet. A tilt of the head that said, "I hear you." A hand that said, "I'm here now." Eyes closed not to hide, but to honor the moment fully. If you listen closely to the conversations swirling around them, you'll hear words like stability and trust appearing as often as passion. That balance matters. Gökberk's protectiveness isn't about control, it's about gentleness with what he values. Cemre's calm isn't detachment, it's the quiet confidence of someone who knows her worth and recognizes when it's seen clearly by someone else. Together, they no longer look like two people fighting their story. They look like two people writing it, page by page. So what happens next? Maybe we'll get a simple photo, no grand statement, just 2 cups of coffee on a morning table, the kind of picture that quietly says, "This is real life." Maybe we'll see them arrive somewhere together, not to dazzle, but to normalize something extraordinary. Or maybe we'll open a trailer one day and there they'll be, facing each other under new circumstances, lines scripted but eyes telling the truth only history can teach. Time will answer. In the meantime, the one certainty is that the love story has returned, stronger for what it endured, deeper because it was chosen a second time. We want to hear from you. Do you think they'll step out publicly in the coming weeks? Are we headed toward a slow burn reintroduction or an official confirmation with a date and details? Could a joint project be the bridge that lets them reclaim the narrative on their terms? Share your predictions in the comments and tell us how the photograph made you feel when you first saw it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click join to support Whispers of Turkish Stars so we can keep bringing you the moments that matter. Stories threaded with emotion, truth, and just enough mystery to remind us why we fell in love with these stars in the first place. Until next time, hold on to your faith in timing. Love doesn't always arrive with trumpets, sometimes it returns quietly, in a room at the edge of a party, when two people finally decide they're done pretending they don't belong in the same frame. When that happens, a single kiss can tell the whole story and start a new one right before our eyes.